Hello and welcome to Sounds Heal Podcast. I am your host, Natalie Brown, and we are going to continue to look into the field of sound healing and using sound therapeutically for health and wellness. I want to thank everyone for their feedback and sharing your inspirations after listening to the previous podcast with Ann Dyer as we discussed sound yoga. Today's guest is David Gibson. David is the founder and director of the Globe Institute in San Francisco, California. With both a focus on sound healing and audio recording and production, he is the author of the #1 selling book in the field of audio recording, The Art of Mixing, as well as the author of the #1 selling book in the field of sound healing, The Complete Guide to Sound Healing. He also has many CDs and compositions. When I was first getting into sound healing, because of my own academic and music education background, I was drawn to look into what David and the Institute was up to. Because he set up the nonprofit Sound Healing Research Foundation, really with an understanding that sound healing is experiential. But in order to bring sound healing into the mainstream, doing research, having data is of importance. And we'll get into the kind of things that the Research Foundation is looking into during this podcast. Also of great interest to me is the Institute's work on developing a curriculum, bringing sound healing into elementary and high schools. I've met David twice, once at a Mount Shasta retreat and once at the Institute. I got a chance to speak with him about this work at Montessori schools and also got a tour of the Institute to take a look at and experience some really cool and fun technologies. If you go to the website of the Institute, whether on the audio recording side or the sound healing side of it, you will see that so much is going on there. This is a vibrant and thriving hub of activity. So I want to talk with David not only about his own personal sound journey, but the development of the Globe Institute and its current projects. So David, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, pleasure to be here.
Well, thank you. I think, I would love to chat about your own personal journey, your sound journey and background. I know it involves physics, the recording, engineering side. So if you could just tell us a little bit about your own sound story and what sparked all of this for you through your life and then getting into the sound healing field.
Cool. Yeah, I started out playing clarinet in high school, and then I took up bass clarinet, and then when I got out of school, I took up guitar. And then I got into audio recording in college, and actually I was going to be a physics major at first. So I went to UC Berkeley, and I took all the classes in sound, physics of sound, and then ended up getting into audio recording and studying it, and then became a recording engineer. A friend of mine bought a recording studio back in Atlanta, where I'm originally from. So I went back and ran that. Within 6 months, James Brown's band booked the studio. So I got to meet James. He gave me a hug and said, "Bless you, child." So I've been blessed by the Godfather of Soul. But Atlanta was surrounded by Georgia in the south, so I made my way out to California, and I got a job in a major recording studio. And then after quite a few years, I worked with a lot of major groups. I actually opened up my own school of recording and got really big. We had about 200 students a semester. And then I started seeing the magic that was coming across from different musicians when I would be doing recording sessions. And I thought, how can I reproduce this at will? And so I found out that San Francisco area is like the center of sound healing. So I've hired a lot of instructors, including Stephen Halpern to actually start teaching the kind of aesthetic side, the healing side of audio recording. And then about 15 years ago, I added on the whole certificate and degree program in sound healing. And now that's really captured my interest, although we do still have recording classes, and I just came out with the new versions of my book, The Art of Mixing and The Art of Producing. So then what I did, what was really interesting is when I was teaching recording, somebody said, well, Dave, we know which way, we know what all the equipment does, but which way do you turn the knobs when you're mixing to make it sound good? And I thought I should be able to explain that. So I came up with this whole visual system to explain how different structures of mixes, all the different structures of mixes in recording. And so I used spheres or bubbles to show each sound between the speakers, and I wrote the book. That's the book, The Art of Mixing. And then now it's in all the colleges. But then I realized that you could actually use that visual system for healing. So I came up with a whole virtual reality system, and where you can put on a virtual reality helmet, you can look down, you can see a graphic of inside of your body, and you can take sacred geometry structures and put them like in your heart, and it will move the sound up and down on a sound table that we make, which has speakers in a table or a chair, so that you feel the sound vibrating in your heart right where you're seeing it visually in 3D in sacred with the sacred geometry. And so you could have sounds and visuals throughout the whole body. And then I thought if I was going to be putting sounds and visuals inside the body, I better really study the field because I don't want to explode any organs. Right? So then so we're still working on that. We're just now getting funding for the virtual reality system. And so that's kind of how it all came to be. And now, oh my God, it's just taken off because what's happened is, there's really two areas of sound healing. There's people that do sound baths or just play different instruments for treatments and get people in the zone. And that's really, really cool. And there can be spontaneous healings from people just getting relaxed, and going to a place of stillness and peace. But then now what's happening is it's getting more medical. And before, I used to be scared of getting too much into the medical field, especially around cancer or specific areas that are, you got to watch out because of the pharmaceutical companies. But now what's happening is the hospitals are leading it. So we've got many doctors that have taken our certificate and associate degree program now, and we have the head of the integrated therapy department at Kaiser Hospital has taken the program, and they're now referring patients to us for pain management and anxiety. And once right after there was actually an article that was out a few years ago that said that Dave Gibson's working on cancer with sound, and I got really scared actually because I didn't want anybody to really I didn't want that out there. I thought the FDA is going to show up at my door. And then right after that, this woman that's working at Kaiser calls me up and says that Kaiser wants to work with sound on cancer and wants to do research with me. So it's really cool how it's really transitioning now more into medical. And doctors are seeing that, it really works. And there's a lot more to it than just woo-woo fun.
Mm-hmm. Can you explain a bit more about the audio recording side of things at the Institute and how the sound healing and recording merge, maybe not just necessarily with the visuals and the virtual reality, but how do you teach audio recording specifically from a health and wellness perspective? How does that work?
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different aspects about it. Some of the basic components are intention. there's a lot of people that don't hold a specific intention when they're doing recording. And when you do, not only does it change the way you play, but it also gets embedded in the music and carried through to the listener. But there's also very specific things that we do with brainwave entrainment, where we can entrain the brain into different brainwave states of delta, theta, alpha, and beta with very specific rhythms where you have two frequencies, one in each ear, and it creates a difference frequency that actually entrains the brain into these brainwave states. For delta, for sleep, for alpha, for presence, and theta to be in the zone, and beta to help get rid of ADD. So that's really helpful. But another thing that I do in my music and I teach in my classes is if I set an intention like universal love, what I do is I'll meditate on that intention, and then I will notice my breath while I'm in the zone. And I'll set the tempo of the recording program to the tempo of my breath. Mm. And then I'll have everything synchronized to that breath so I can completely stay in that actual energy throughout the whole song and hold it with 100% focus. And I make sure that anybody that plays on it, we actually do a meditation and get into the zone so they can also be in that energy as well. I mean, we also work with chakras, based on we teach like equalization and frequencies for recording based on chakras and how they work with chakras as well as another way of working with it. Basically, what we're doing is showing how you can use all the different parameters of sound, which are volume, frequency, and time, to affect you physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, and what's going on. Because there's people that do recording that don't have a clue what they've done. They might have unbelievable recordings that affect you in a really deep way, but they don't really know what's going on. So we're really getting at least closer to exactly how all the different parameters of sound and music and such affect you at all these different levels.
What do you think your early understanding of sound healing was? Coming from a physics background, recording engineering background, what was your initial understanding, and how has that evolved just with all this experience and all these different things that you've been doing? If somebody was to ask you back then what sound healing compared to now, what would be the difference in your answer?
Well, it's much more precise. I've got some really clear theories of how it works now, really clear theories that I feel really strongly about. And back then, it was just like, oh my God, it's mellow, and I know about brainwave entrainment, and it's just kind of getting you in the zone. But now I know that the basis of all sound healing is stable, consistent vibrations versus chaotic vibrations. The chaotic vibrations are like fear, anxiety, anger, stress, pain, versus all of the consistent vibrations of gratitude, or love, or compassion, or joy. All of those are vowels, which are stable, more sine wave-like waveforms. When the body is healthy, every single cell, every single organ, every single part of the body is vibrating consistently instead of chaotically. So the basis of it all is in training the body into this consistency as opposed to all the stress and tension that we pick up from all different realms, right? And so that's the basis. Now from there, you can get really specific. You can get specific as to the resonant frequency of each cell in the body, of all the resonant frequencies of the organs, because when you not only get it consistent, but you vibrate something at its natural resonant frequency, it goes back to its healthy state. And this is proven in quite a few research projects, including some of the research projects that Len McTaggart talks about in her books. And so this is the basis. But then it gets even a little more complex from there. And it's really not only, it's interesting, I live on the ocean. I just looked out and there's a whale right out there right now.
Wow.
It's like, nice, consistent vibration. So it's also, at a couple of other levels, is the relationship between the frequencies. And that would be like the harmony or the musical interval, right? Where you got a harmonious musical interval in the body between the two parts of the body. But the ultimate is the flow. Let me put it this way. In the body, I think of the cells as frequencies. Those are the most basic frequencies in the body. You add up a bunch of cells and you get a timbre, which is simply a bunch of frequencies, and that is any instrument sound, any vowel sound. And so the organs are like a bunch of frequencies, they're like timbres. But then the next level is the relationship between the organs, that you've got a really good music, let me put it this way. The heart has a specific frequency, but maybe the frequency of the heart in my heart is different from yours. Maybe all the frequencies are different from person to person. That's why people haven't really figured it out yet, I think. But I bet the relationship between my heart and my liver will be a very specific musical interval relationship that will be the same between you and I. But then there's the fourth level. So we got frequencies, we got timbres, we got musical intervals, then musical flow. And that's the whole deal. Really, when you get into it, it's not just stable frequencies. The frequencies, when they're stable, they receive and transmit flow. The flow is like, it's like if you don't have good flow in a meridian, you poke it, you poke the frequency of an acupuncture point with a needle frequency, basically, and so it will trigger that flow, so it will receive and transmit the flow. If you don't have good flow through your nervous system, you'll be shaky. If you don't have good flow through your circulatory system, you could have a heart attack. If you don't have good flow through your digestive system, there's all types of problems happen. So when you get down to it, all sound healing is about either breaking up the blockages, which you can do intensely. Actually, you can do it two ways. One is you can get really powerful, like, really scream and move that energy, right? Or you could use destructive resonance, where you find the resonant frequency of what the blockage is, you turn the volume up, and you explode it. And that's exactly what they do with kidney stones. Mm-hmm. They find the resonant frequency with ultrasound, turn it up, and explode them, right? And that's what Anthony Holland has shown in his TED Talk video on YouTube, where he shows 4 different types of cancer being exploded with frequencies. He's actually got live video of the cells exploding. And so that's the first part of creating the flow, is to either break it up. The second way is to, what I was talking about before, to harmonize the parts into harmony so they will receive and transmit flow. So you get the cells and the organs and all the parts humming at their natural frequency, so they'll flow. There'll be flow through them. Now, another way you can work with sound is to balance all the frequencies in the body. There's research by Alfred Tomatis that says that every frequency is a nutrient, and you need all the frequencies to be completely healthy. So with voice analysis that we do, we have a voice analysis program, we even sell it, it actually shows you, when you talk in the mic, what frequencies are missing in your system. and then you play a CD in that note and get it back into the body. So it's very much like vitamin therapy, where you actually have a missing vitamin. You just take it to balance out all the frequency vitamins in your body, and then the energy flows again. Really, the big way, though, to get flow is to resonate energies of flow. And that would be gratitude, compassion, love, joy, the frequency of your soul, or the frequency of source. I don't think there's anything more flowing than source energy. It's so flowing that it feels like a state of stillness and presence. That's what's interesting. The main thing I've learned is peace is a frequency flowing consistently. Peace is a frequency humming consistently, which would be the vowels, which would be the crystal bowls, the Tibetan bowls, the tuning forks, right? Or the ultimate source. Mm-hmm. Universal love's not bad either. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's really all these different levels. So when you start looking at the way things work in the body, most people are either looking at, what frequency do we need for that part of the body or that disease, right? Well, maybe it's a bunch of frequencies. Or maybe it's a flow of frequencies with a certain rhythm and a certain melody, right? I mean, ultimately, what we're looking for, to get a little out there, is your soul song. What is the song of your soul? At least what is the frequency of your soul? I've really come to believe that the frequency of your soul is the note or frequency where you're at peace. And in fact, I think that your heart rhythm and your brain waves are tuned to the frequency of your soul. Of course, you can never prove this one, right? Because, soul doesn't exist in science.
Right.
But I think your soul is a profoundly beautiful, still vibration that never wobbles. I don't believe that your soul needs healing. I think your soul is perfect. Your physical, mental, emotional, and bodies might need it, right? And your soul's just sitting there going, what are you doing now to bring us away from source, right? So when you tune into your soul energy, you get this profound stillness. And you see all. But then there's, when you think of source, I think of source as all frequencies. I mean, people that are one with the universe say, oh yeah, I was everything. I was everything. That's all frequencies in the universe. And that's really cool in that when you are one with everything, or when you tune into more than one thing at a time, you go into a brainwave state of theta, which is a rhythm between 4 and 8 cycles per second, around whoa, 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 whoa. Everybody's theta is a little bit different. So what that means is also, whenever you tune into more than one thing at a time, not only does your brain go into theta, but also your whole brain starts working together. We're commonly tuned into one thing at a time. And we even do multitasking where we jump back and forth between multiple things, right? And that's more the prefrontal cortex. Joe Dispenza talks about this. When you tune into multiple things, it takes you out of that prefrontal cortex into the whole brain where you are tuned in and you go into theta. And this can happen from sparkles on the water. It can happen from listening to all the sounds in a mix of music so you hear it all at once, or all of the harmonics in a crystal bowl, or all all of the sounds of a bunch of crystal bowls or Tibetan bowls. So when you have many things going on, then you go into that zone, which is just another step, and you're connected to all of Source. Because now you've dropped into theta, and now you've gotten out of the prefrontal cortex. So there's a large part of it is simply tuning into multiple things at once. This is why the gong is so effective. I mean, the gong is like, oh my God, thousands of different chaotic frequencies, actually. It's chaotic. So it's really good for breaking up energy. But there's so much going on that there's no way you can focus on any one frequency. So your brain totally goes into theta. And often healing happens when you go there. At least you get out of your problems. You're totally in the prefrontal cortex.
Mm-hmm. And that's what people need the most. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's interesting. I've been thinking about it a lot. It's not about focusing on the positive instead of the negative. It's more about focusing on both at the same time. I mean, if you think of like all the problems you have, you know, it might be a few to like 20, right? But if you think of all the things you can be grateful for, there's 100. I mean, it's easy to come up with at least 30 or 40. But if you go for it, you can come up with 100. And when you got a problem, instead of focusing on just the positive and not focusing on it, just focus on the whole universe, which is all your problems and all the gratitude. And when you do that, you go into whole brain synchronization because you're now tuned into multiple things at once, and it's a very peaceful state. And you're totally not denying any part of your being, right? You're present with all of it at once. I think that's the ultimate state. And in that state, when you're one with the universe, tuned into all, it's like all is known. It's like the shaman that sees the frequencies or song of the plant and sings it, and you get the medicine from that plant. Or the Tibetan Lama who sees all lifetimes at once, right? It's like then there's no more school needed. And that's where I think we're all headed. So I think that's the ultimate, is to get to a place where you're tuned into all frequencies at once. From that place, any one frequency is boring. In fact, it'll bring you down. Don't play a ball. I'm tuned into everything. So that's like, I think, the highest perspective. But really on a lower perspective, it's really just about getting to peace as much as possible, right? More you go to peace, the better. Because when you're at peace, which really, and it's so simple, it's a consistent tone, but especially a consistent tone that fades out slowly, like a crystal bowl fades at the end. When the crystal bowl completely fades out, there's this incredible, incredible peace. And when there's peace like that, you're still hearing the frequency in your head, so it's still a frequency humming consistently. In that space, your immune system flourishes. Every organ goes into alignment and starts healing. It's also a place of magnificent creativity. And it's the portal to other dimensions and a place where you're one with the universe. So the peace and stillness is really a big deal. You can also move energy with sound. Like gongs move it even more, but really the best part of sound is when it ends.
The silence.
For the stillness.
Mm-hmm. Well, you mentioned a little bit about the mapping of the frequency body as you were talking. I know that's one of the things that the Sound Healing Research Foundation is looking at. If you could maybe just even highlight some of the research projects that
Okay.
the Research Foundation is doing. I know it's really
Yeah.
wide-ranging, but any significant findings as well?
hmm Well, we started out a long time ago doing research with Parkinson's patients. So we researched a dozen Parkinson's patients, and we're able to go have their tremors go from 8, or all symptoms go from 8 down to an average of 2. And that was by putting them on the Sound Lounge. And then I came up with the Genome Project. That's GeneOM.com. And that is mapping the frequency body. So the whole deal, and I see it as a new way of doing medicine, is to find the resonant frequency of health for every single part of the body. I mean, we're talking every cell, every organ, every material in the body, every fluid in the body, everything, so that we can resonate it into its healthy state, right? So that's the basis of it. But as I mentioned before, it's those frequencies might be different from person to person. There's a lot of them that I bet were going to be the same, but I bet you most of them are different. So we're going to be also looking for the musical interval relationships between the parts of the body. I think that's going to be more stable. This research project's an open resource project, so that anybody can submit information as long as they tell us how they did the research. We'll even take information from psychics and see if it lines up. But really what we're looking for more than anything is clinical research, repeatable research, so we can actually pin it down. Because, in our classes we hand out 10,000 frequencies for every disease, every organ you can imagine, and nobody agrees with anybody as to what does what. And that could very likely be because it's different from person to person, right? So I really want to get this pinned down. And even if we're working with frequencies, if it's different, have a way where we can really very quickly define what the frequency is for that part of the body and just send a healing frequency to it. And the cool thing about this is it affects no other part of the body. There are no side effects when you use frequencies on parts of the body, because only that part of the body that resonates at that frequency is going to resonate. And the other parts don't even take it in, really. So that's the Genome Project. We're also working on pain management. As I mentioned, Kaiser is sending patients to us for pain. We've got this base pod, which is like a little subwoofer you hold in your hand, about a 4x4 cube, and we've got frequencies that are really well researched. And you put this on the body. You can even use headphones, but the base pod's even more powerful. And it's like profound how effective it is for getting rid of pain. We also have a belt with speakers on it that you can actually just strap on the body. And we now have a vest. Oh my God, it's like intense, like 18 speakers on the body, 9 on the front and 9 on the back. If you got any pain, it won't have a chance, right? But I want to refine this. I mean, we should know what frequencies are good for all different types of pain, right? I mean, whether it's systemic or localized. I mean, there's no research to really pin it down, whether it's a frequency or a timbre or a musical interval or a musical flow. We should know this. I mean, this is huge, because then we can totally bypass all opioids, right? Just completely get rid of every opioid. It's incredible. It's just so important. We're also working on sleep. We have a way where we can find your note in delta. Delta is when you're asleep, in deep sleep, and then we can create a CD that actually plays that note of delta as a binaural beat, which is like whoa, 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 whoa. But it's tuned to you, so it's really effective. But there's a lot of different sleep maladies, so we want to really research and pin that down. The really cool thing we're doing is around PTSD. Oh my God. There's a guy in Colorado named Ed Rupert who is if any first responders have a problem, they call Ed. He's got contracts with 75% of the fire stations and police stations in Colorado, which is like no other state has this at all. And what he does is immediately puts him on the sound lounge. A first responder having a crisis normally means they're about to commit suicide. And within 20 minutes on our sound lounge, they're in tears. He saved over 150 lives in the last year. And we have another guy working with the veterans in the VA in Sacramento. He's had like 100% success with getting the vets over the PTSD. He's doing a few other modalities, but he's using the sound lounge as well. That's really huge. Then we've got the ADD. Well, I'll come back to that one. We're also working on autism. We're working with a center in the Bay Area here that has 200 autistic adults, and we come up with a whole range of treatments. The cool thing about our treatments is in our degree program, every semester, our students have to come up with treatment plans for all different types of issues. And so over the last 10 years, we've got really detailed treatment plans for everything that we're talking about here, including dementia. We're working with an elderly center just north of here, and we've come up with very detailed plans for dementia at all different stages. Same with autism. It's like we have plans for autism that is very high on the spectrum or very low. We're also working with ADD. After you find your note, the main way we play them, you can actually use EEG, but we also just do it intuitively by playing each of the 12 notes on the sound table. And then we find your note, and then we tune beta binaural beats, which is beta is when you're thinking. The main type of ADD is where you can't go fast enough into beta, because beta is a very fast rhythm. It's like brrr. Your brain actually goes that fast when you're thinking. And so they give people speed to speed them up, right? So they can go that fast. Well, you can just play that rhythm through the headphones with two frequencies and tune it to the person. That's really key. Tune it to the person, and it will overcome the ADD within a very short time. It's the only time I ever talk about a cure, because it actually reprograms the neural pathways in the brain. But there's 6 different types of ADD. So our research, we want to pin down what to do on all the different types of ADD. That's the main type. And so those are the main projects. There's probably a few others I forgot, but those are really the most important that we're going to be researching. We're about to get funding that looks really good, so we can really start working. And then we also are starting to develop really good relationships with hospitals. And also what's cool is our students are doing research projects in the degree program, so they're doing some interesting things as well.
You mentioned the sound lounge a couple times. Can you describe what the sound lounge is?
Yeah. We've got a sound table, massage table, with just transducers, which are like subwoofers mounted on the bottom of the table, so the whole table vibrates. The sound lounge is basically the same, where we've got a metal plate in the middle of two things of foam, and so the speakers are mounted to the metal plate, so the whole lounge vibrates. And it's really good for anything. Well, first of all, it's good for just getting you to peace. If I've got anything emotional going on, in 10 minutes it's completely gone. Not only gone emotionally, but gone physically out of my body, because it's so powerful. And the music we have is really kind of off the charts. There's something magical about the music we've come up with. But also it's really good for anything neurological, especially especially good for any muscular things, but also neurological issues. I mean, it's been really helpful for strokes even, for fibromyalgia. Yeah, it's good because not only are you getting the physical vibration in the body, but you're listening to binaural beats that are entraining your brain into a really coherent state as well. So you're getting both the physical and the mental, and which affects your emotions as well.
Mm-hmm. Why don't we get into a little bit about the sound healing curriculum that you've brought into the schools there? I know that's been ongoing for maybe a couple years now.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's the most exciting for me because I feel it's the way we can change the world the most is to help the children. So a couple of years ago, we got a grant from this woman that owns a Montessori school. She's had as part of a foundation. We got a grant for $100,000 to create a curriculum based on our curriculum at the Sound Healing Institute. So we went to work and created over 2,000 exercises around sound, physics of sound, music, geometry, and self-expression, especially with the voice. And so we've got exercises that are for 3 months old all the way up to 18 years at 6 different age levels based on the actual brain development from the 50 top books in the field. And so every exercise is based on the latest science around brain development at different levels or different age groups, right, for learning. And so we've got about 200 hours of videos with the kids. We've finished completely about 500 exercises and got a lot of it implemented. And it's profound to see how it's affecting them. The reason the woman who owns the Montessori school wanted to do it is she said she's had the school for 26 years, and that in the last 5 years or 7 years, that the ADD is off the charts. And the reason everybody believes is screen time, especially screen time.
Yeah.
Right. So that's her whole reason she funded this was to get the kids back in their body. Oh my God, we've got them toning. We're actually toning on the kids that are the 3-year-olds, the 3 months old. You know, so we're actually doing the vowels and the consonants and different emotions. And so then as they get older, we have them doing sound. Let me put it this way. The truth is, we are born as professional masters of sound healing. I mean, if a baby has an emotion that needs to be released, it's like, wah! And they just let it go, right? We've got it down. And then around 1, they say, quiet, shh. And around 2, it's like, shh, they're noisy, right? And then you get in school, and it's like, no more sound. Or you go to work, it's like, what are you doing? You're making sound. Shh. You're interrupting people, right? You're distracting people, right? So we lose this natural ability to release our own stuck emotions. So in this program, we're continuing the sound from the 3 months old and working with emotions and rhythms and consistent tones. And so they're getting in their body, they're going to peace every day, right? And then when they get around 9, they start learning the physics of sound and vibration, not just sound, but the physics of vibration that I learned in my physics class, which governs everything, including light, color, geometry. It's all the same physics of entrainment. So then they've been doing this for years experientially, and now they learn what they've been doing, and then they totally are releasing stuck emotions. They're learning the sound of compassion. They're learning the sound of love, to be able to express, a full range of emotions. It's funny, the school where we're doing this is an Asian school, and the owner is from China, so she's really adamant about having the kids be able to express themselves freely. She says, for Asians in America, it's a little difficult because the Americans are so freely expressing emotions. And so now, once it's implemented, we're setting up the Sound Education Association to create guidelines for bringing it into public and private schools, so that it will be in all schools. And we're setting up a lobbying group to go to the government. We already went to the International Montessori Conference in Prague a couple of years ago, and we met with the head trainer, and she just loved what we were doing. So I just got really excited that people are going to see that this is not about a music curriculum. This is not about being a good musician, because that really scares a lot of kids. This is about health. This is about being in their body, about actually focus of attention. It's about physical health, mental health, emotional health, and even spiritual health, reconnection to the patterns that are in nature, both orally and physically, and as such as in geometry. So I just got this vision of a kid going through this program from 3 months old all the way up to 18 years. Oh my God. What I've already seen, but oh my God, the full program, they will be so in their body and so connected to nature, because they're working with the patterns. The harmonic structure of sound is mathematical multiples, 1 times, 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. That same mathematical pattern is in the distance between the planets. It's in the weight of the vertebrae in the back. It's throughout nature. It's in every atom. It's at the quantum level in string theory. So when you start learning, when you learn how the world works based on vibration, there is nothing more basic than vibration. Nothing. It's the most basic component of everything in the universe. Even numbers are vibrations. So when you learn how the universe works based on vibration, you can connect to nature better, but you can work in alignment with nature for healing, for business, for relationships. It's huge. It's really huge. I just feel so excited about it. And so, man, we've got 30 schools and educators. They're just like, when is it ready, Dave? When is it ready? I want to finish it before we get it out there.
So do you want to complete I think you said 2,000 exercises. Do you want to kind of see those to fruition before other schools, or?
Yeah, I'd like to, finish the last 1,500. It's probably going to be about more like 2,500 when I get into it. I'd like to have them completed. We've got them completely designed, but Montessori format is really detailed. It's got every step by step, so anybody could teach it. And with all of this, we're going to need teams of people. A lot of them are going to be volunteers and interns and stuff from school, but there's a lot of work in all of this. There's another thing that's really interesting as well. I was in Mount Shasta just a few months ago, and I got a download to set up the Sound Medicine Association. And, sound is in just about every major hospital across the country now.
Yeah.
In the integrated therapy department. In the Bay Area, it's in just about every hospital in the Bay Area as integrative therapy, though. And that means mostly sound baths, people playing crystal bowls, maybe singing or toning, and maybe doing tuning forks, possibly. But it's not gotten into the medical side. So my download was to set up the association to bring it into the medical side. And it was really interesting because then a couple of weeks ago, this guy calls up and he says, my guides told me to call Dave Gibson. I love San Francisco. Right? Yeah. So then I said, well, what do they have to say? What do they want? And he said, well, they're saying that you're bringing sound into the medical field. I'm like, oh, God, this was too much before, right? And so he said, I'm a major programmer, and I also am a web designer, and I'm here to help you. And he says, my guides are saying that sound will be completely embedded in hospitals as medical treatments within 10 years. And he said, the way it's going to happen is a lot to do with the technology that we already have, because the doctors are seeing how effective it is, that they're going to realize, oh my God, let's do research on other ways to use frequencies and sounds and music to actually work with very specific issues. So the first step of this that is really a huge step, besides designing the treatments with the doctors, is safety guidelines. I mean, when people are in the hospital, you have to be really careful with vibration. If someone's just out of brain surgery, vibration's really powerful, or any type of issue when people are really fragile. When people are really fragile, they often can't handle much sound. So you got to be very careful and very specific. But it's starting the whole field and getting the doctors involved, because we've got so many doctors that have taken our program now, and there's so many doctors that are into the integrative therapy, and now want to start doing things more specific, especially with the Anthony Holland video, where they're actually exploding cancer cells with frequencies. So that's the next realm, to really synchronize with hospitals and start doing very serious research, pinning down what frequencies, what timbres, what musical intervals, what musical flows heal everything. It's the new medicine, right? It will become the new way, because what's so great about it, again, 0 side effects. Medicine kills more people than almost kills more people than it heals. It's a whole new world about to happen. It's really a whole new world. Not to mention just getting high and connecting to source. Maybe you don't need healing. Let's just really get into universal love and do the sound of love. Right? Really, that's the way you change the world more than any way, is to get more people resonating higher vibrations of gratitude, compassion, love, joy, sound of your soul, and sound of source. Mm-hmm. And then, based on the law of physics, a strong vibration will overcome a weaker vibration and entrain the weaker into the stronger. If you get enough people resonating more coherent vibrations, it's going to entrain everybody on the planet into it. And soon, we'll have everybody in the zone all the time. Different psychics and spiritual leaders, and one says 2037. What if that's true? Oh my God, just imagine if that could even be true. So incredible. You wouldn't be able to go out of it. I would want to go downtown. I don't want to walk around downtown now. I would want to go downtown and walk around mm-hmm. just to see more people.
Yeah. Well, now you kind of talked about a little bit what's in the works for you as far as all this stuff going on with the schools, and then obviously sound medicine program that you're now talking about. What are you excited about this coming year? What's coming up at the Globe Institute that you're really looking forward to this year?
Well, the next big thing is our conference, September 20th to the 23rd, at this spectacular temple, and we've got some of the top speakers and researchers and people in the field that will be speaking there. We've got a bunch of booths with technologies, sound technologies, and natural instruments, and we've got concerts every night. It's our 8th conference, and it's really just profoundly fun, right? And really interesting, because we've got scientists that are working at all different levels. We've already got a lot of people working in the medical field that are speaking this year. And also this woman who's a master of working with kids. Oh, I should tell you about that. Oh, this is really cool. There's Elizabeth Gramps who teaches online for us, because our classes are not only at the Institute here, we got our certificate and degree is completely online as well with live instructors. Elizabeth is the master of the world for working with kids with sound. So in the business plans that we put together for our funding, we've set up a business plan with Elizabeth, put together a whole plan for a school that will actually work with kids with different challenges and learning disabilities. And so there will be actually a training of instructors there to work with specific disabilities, because this is their specialty. But the idea is to have it be a research facility as well, so that we can refine our exercises that we're doing in the Montessori school now, such that the kids don't need to go to a separate facility to actually work with their disabilities. That the exercises, and already the exercises we're doing, help with disabilities, but refine it even more so that there's no stigma where the kids with disabilities have to go to another school, right, and have them actually work with it in the actual school. So that's really cool as well. Other things we have coming up, we've got our summer intensive at the school, which is 10 days in June and 10 days in August for the whole certificate program, 10 to 9:30 every day, perfect for people that live out of town. They can fly in. You can even stay at the school, although we don't have beds or showers. There's a gym nearby. And so that's coming up. We also have our Mount Shasta retreat every year. It's July 13th and 14th and 15th. And, God, we just get really high right next to a beautiful river. And then we go up on the mountain and get even higher on the third day, because Mount Shasta is a sacred mountain. And so that's happening. Some of the other things coming up, there's one interesting thing. I just found a guy that's really interested in sound chambers. When I was in Egypt, I got a download to create a sound chamber that you can go and meditate in, kind of like the King's Chamber in the Great Pyramid. And actually, what I got was to design the sound chamber as build the King's Chamber, which is has a certain resonance in it based on the distance between the walls, and then have a dodecahedron around that, which is almost like a sphere, and then have an octahedron, which is like a four-sided pyramid up and a four-sided pyramid down around that. And I've gotten, this psychic's been giving me some really detailed information from these higher beings on how to build it. And so I finally found a guy that's interested in actually building one. And they're saying we can't put more than 25 people in it, or else it could explode. But it will be like a really profound chamber for meditation that will take you out into really powerful energy, and really connected to the whole universe. So I'm really excited about that in the next year. Otherwise, it's just whatever project comes through first. I mean, the funding, it looks like they'll have funding for the whole research foundation, so we can actually move out into nature instead of being right in the city. I would love to be, more in nature, and because I'm not liking the city so much anymore.
Yeah.
So those are the main things that are coming up.
Mm. Well, you have a lot going on. I know you also have a podcast, and with all these things going on, what's the best way for people to find out what you're up to or reach out to you, whether it's your website or
Yeah.
email?
Well, our website is soundhealingcenter.com, and that goes to our 4 different divisions. We've got the school, the therapy center. We've got about 20 different treatments that a lot of them we do online as well. We can find your home note. We can also do voice analysis on you to see what's wrong with you. And we do all types of, so the therapy center's got a lot of treatments. We also have the research foundation, and where there's a full range of science and clinical studies that are posted there, and treatment plans for different issues as well, and 300 student papers that are really cool. And then we've got this store as well, and you can get to where we've got all types of sound healing instruments, over 300 instruments in the store. And you can get to all of that at soundhealingcenter.com. But also on our website, there's tons of information. I mean, we've got practically a book of information on the website to learn all about sound healing, not to mention all the information in the Research Foundation that's very cool as well. And then the radio show is every other Saturday on bbsradio.com, and it's at 5 o'clock. Not this Saturday, but a week from Saturday is the next one. And I do like an hour show, and so that's always a fun podcast people can check out as well. Or you can also email me at david@soundhealingcenter.com or call me at 415-777-2486.
Awesome. And I do appreciate you not only for all that you're doing, all this work and exciting stuff, but you are accessible. People can reach out to you, and you're excited to talk about the work that you're doing, right? You're extremely busy, but not too busy to remain interested and inspired and communicate with other people. So I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, is there anything else that we've completely breezed past or left out that you would want to leave us with?
Well, sometimes when you do interviews, it's just like this vibration. Right? And it's really nice to actually do something that actually is sound. So this is really cool. What you could do is, for everybody, one of the easiest things to do, especially if anybody's grieving over a loss, but also just because a lot of people don't love themselves enough, is send the sound of love to your own heart, right? So it's like this. If you want to join in, you can, and anybody that's listening can try it too. Any sound that comes up is perfect. Every sound is always perfect. What's even cooler is to send that sound to everybody on the planet, the sound of love. Could also send it to the earth. And then send it to Source and listen for the universal love coming back. That's all.
Well, thank you so much for being you and pursuing everything that you do. With how busy you are, I love how much energy you have, and just the things that propel you and continue to blossom for you is extremely exciting. So I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us.
Okay. My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Sounds Heal Podcast. You can keep up to date by going to soundshealstudio.com, on Facebook, Sounds Heal Studio. You can listen to podcasts and new music on YouTube if you search for Natalie Brown Sounds Heal Studio. Be well and stay tuned.